I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Hello and welcome again. It's a great opportunity and for me to thank you for allowing me into your wherever you are, on your phone, in your home, in your toilet, in your car. If you choose to watch, if you don't choose to watch, in any case, today is the second day of January 2023. And as you know, I had the opportunity today to watch the extravagance of the Rose Bowl parade. And you see, I see things a lot different from people in the world. And many people come today, they say to you, Happy New Year. And you know, the same way they said Merry Christmas a few weeks ago, and they turned after the day of Christmas, supposed to be the celebration of Christ Jesus, Jesus the Messiah, the Redeemer, Christ the Redeemer. And yet, the very day after that, they turn back to being their own selves, whether selfish or unselfish. They also, fought over what presents or gifts they didn't get. And the day after that, we finished the celebration of Hanukkah. And today we've come to the New Year. And everybody says, Happy New Year. I would like to wish you the best of well health and more wealth in 2023. And so, as always, I'm a thinker, constantly thinking, constantly analyzing. And I had the great opportunity over the holidays to listen and to learn from a philosopher whom himself had started life as a Marxist. He said he went to these big schools, Yale or Harvard, these very well-to-do Negro people sometimes have these great opportunities and they are recognized by the society for the mere fact that they were able to attend these Ivy League European schools such as Harvard and MIT and whichever ones were there. But this man said something profound, and it is similar to what Jesus said. It is told the story of Jesus when he was attacked by one of his disciples for spending money and oil and incense and being rubbed down by Mary Magdalene. And I think Jesus said, how do you expect us to save all the poor people in the world, There's always going to be poor people, poor and as wretched as they may be. Those were the words of Jesus. And then this man, he looked at the world, he studied it, he studied Marxism, he studied all the revolutions, and he realized really and truly, everybody in the world cannot be equal. Everybody cannot be made rich. Everybody cannot be made. He reflected on racism and slavery and came to the conclusion, and which I have always said, African slavery in the Americas is not the only slavery there was. And for all practical purposes, it could not be that really terrible and bad of an institution when you recognize that we have become part of the great experimentation of this new world. And that is the history of the world. If we go back to the history of the world, people have always been conquering people. Even the Bible speaks of genocide, wherein the Jewish people will go to surround the walls of Jericho, to shout it down, and they had to kill everybody, man, child, woman, and child, lest that one child would survive and would come to exact revenge upon the Jewish people. So even God in his Bible speaks of war and genocide. And in the Islamic Bible, the Quran, they speak of jihad for the sake of Allah, conquest for the sake of Allah. And they too motivate their people to go out and fight wars and to commit acts of genocide against people, because in their mind, they are the apostates, they are the disbelievers. And the only good disbeliever is a dead disbeliever. And so I woke up this morning and I spoke to the spirits and to the ancestors and asked them, what must my message be for 2023? Should I just say the traditional Happy New Year, the best of well health, and the best of more wealth? Or should I tell you the true story? The true story about humanity. You know, pretty soon I won't have this headboard anymore. I don't think this bed frame is doing well with me and my back. As you see, I'm always talking today from the from the bed. I barely stand up anymore, but I do stand and I do get around. But what I'm trying to tell you is that here's life itself. And here's people who say they love God, they love Allah, they love Jesus. And they speak to us about dying and going to heaven and piety and doing all the good things and the right things. And then, you know, if you're poor here, they say, well, stay poor and stay ignorant, and when you die and go to heaven, you'll have an abundant life. You know, what a lie, what a lie. And people buy into those things. So today, the biggest market in the world is the market of religion. And religion in some areas of the world, like in Russia and in Europe and in the United States of America, is a force of nationalism. That's all it is nationalism. That's why today you see when under communism, the church was destroyed, and there's some conspiracies about that. But I won't go into that because I don't want to get banned by anyone. But I do want to say that you see President Putin embraces the Russian Orthodox Church because the church, if we go into history, the soldiers march with the cross in the one hand and the sword in the other, or the cannon in the other, as they wage war, and everybody says that God is on our side. So if God is on your side, you cannot lose and you must have victory. And then other people talk about how much they love God and how much when you die you go into a better place, but nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live forever. Even when they're unable to use the bathroom, unable to walk, and unable to take care of themselves and have to depend on others to do so for them. But they want to hold on to life as long as possible. There is nothing wrong with that because life is good. Life is what we know. And we should enjoy life, and we should appreciate life, and we should have life in abundance. However, it is a hypocrisy to speak on the one hand of dying to go into heaven, and on the other one to crave long life and to want long life, and never rushing to die to go to heaven to be in a better place. No, I do not believe in the concept of heaven. I do not believe in dying and going to heaven. I do not believe in being pious so that I can gain records in heaven. I do not believe in giving money to any church or any synagogue or any mosque so that I can buy a place in heaven. Well, secondly, first, the Jewish people don't believe in heaven, so that doesn't matter. But Jewish people believe in taking care of one another and to advancing the ideology and the nationalism, and they do it through their religion, like any other peoples of the world. Now, most of what we have today, if we look at the island nation state of Haiti and the South American states and Central American states, all of these were created by European colonizers. And today I hear the French and I hear the President of the United States of America criticize the President of Russia to say that he's waging an ancient imperialistic war. Well, the truth is that imperialism never ended. Imperialism never ended. It only morphed into a different form. So in many African countries, many Caribbean islands, and many Latin and South American and Central American countries, these were creations of European colonialism, which was also part of the building of empires. And Europeans fought amongst themselves. And what did they fight for? They fight for land. They fight for natural resources. They fight to subjugate other peoples and to make them subservient to them. Now, at the turn of the 19th century and the 20th century, and that's a phenomenon you got to go back and recognize, a lot of things happens in the world, a lot of upheaval. So in the beginning of the 20th century, you had the First World War, the Second World War, the Russian Revolution, and prior to that, you had the French Revolution, you had the Napoleonic Wars, and the Wars of Empire. And then a group of European countries get together, I think it was in Berlin, it may not have been, but wherever it was, in 18 something, and they decided to divide the continent of Africa amongst themselves and grab different aspects of Africa based on who had the most power. King Leopold of Belgium was the most cunning, and he carved out for himself the part of Africa called the Congo, a very, very rich land in minerals, in rubber, in copper, in gold, and in diamonds. And the Belgians will continue to dominate that piece of land until today. Don't mind there are no Belgian administrators or troops on the ground. There is such a thing called neo-colonialism, where they come in, they take away your religion, they even take away your way of dress. They teach you how to drink tea and eat it with crackers and biscuits. And then before you know it, you see, being black or being white is not a color, it's a way of being. So you do have African men who are more European than even Europeans because they have taken on the ways and the behaviors of the Europeans. So what should you expect in 2023? Don't be a fool and don't be a hypocrite. You know, when I go to the store, they have a candy, they say put $10 to fight cancer. Another person calls you up and say give a contribution to end diabetes, which will never end because it's too profitable for the pharmaceutical companies. You say you want to feed and clothe and house the homeless. But on the eve of yesterday, which was the day before Saturday night, the day when they say they're celebrating New Year's, you should see the millions and billions of dollars from Dubai to Singapore to, well, maybe the Chinese have their own New Year. I don't know if they recognize the Western New Year. I don't know if the Persians recognize the Western New Year, but even the Persians themselves trying to rebuild their empire. They want to go back to the days of Persepolis. All this money spent on fireworks, And then today we have the Pasadena Rose Bowl Parade. And all these millions of dollars spent on floats, and some of the floats are even edible. They are food. So no one can come and tell me about saving the poor, redistributing the wealth, and so all these different things. Because you see, if God wanted everybody to be equal, God would have made it that way. If God didn't want Europeans to dominate Africans, he would have made it that way. And if God didn't want the Chinese to come up now and challenge Europeans the same way the Japanese did at the turn of the 20th century, it wouldn't happen this way. And so it is really in your hands and within yourself what it is you want out of this life. You can be a hypocrite. You can sit there and deny yourself all the pleasures of life so that you can be good and die to go to heaven and see Jesus. Or you can be a rebel and a bandit or whatever you choose to do. As you know, in this world, they say one man's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. In 2023, you can decide if you want to be a bandit, if you want to be a thief. It really doesn't matter. Whatever you do is what you do. And how it ends is how it ends. And so what I come to tell you today is nothing going to be happy about 2023. 2023 is going to be a tumultuous and very, 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 very rough year for all of us on this earth. 2023, we're going to see more hurricanes, more floods, and more heat waves. And most of all, in 2023, there will be war in the east, there will be war in the west, there will be war in the south, and there will be war in the north. Nothing, because you see, the only God there is on this earth is you and I, woman and man, and is woman and man who do everything on earth. No mumbo jumbo God, no God from the sky who is coming down here and creating trouble and killing people and building tanks and building missiles. It is me and it is you. And those of us who are less fortunate or have less material wealth than others, it's not anybody's fault. It's our fault. It's our fault. If you don't have materialism, if you don't have money, it's nobody's fault but your fault. Because the money is there, all you have to do is go and take it. The material wealth is there, all you have to do is go and take it. That's what the Europeans did. That's why they fought war of conquest. That's why they fought war of imperialism. That's why they subjugated other people. That's why they sodomized other people without foreplay and without lubrication. God's power is within you. So whatever you want to make 2023, you say you want to make $1 million, you go and you take it. You say you want to be a billionaire, you go and you manipulate the system, no different than the other ones have done, like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and tell me, what's his name again? The old man from Omaha, Berkshire Hathaway. You go and you manipulate capitalism and you accumulate wealth in your name, and you will probably get an extension of 30 years of longer life because you have money, and money can buy you medicine and money can buy you medical care. But all this mumbo jumbo, God, and you've been waiting on God for so damn long. I come to tell you in 2023, throw God away with the bathwater. Throw out Jesus. Throw out Allah. Throw out it, or whoever he or she is, and come to the belief in self and confidence in self, and go forward in this world and do whatever you have to do. If you have to do armed robbery, do armed robbery. If you have to do fraud, do fraud. Because many a good criminal have done what they've had to do and have succeeded. Don't let them fool you in the movies that the good guy always finished first. That is not true. That is not true. And when it's over with, look, Hitler came, he did his thing. Where is he now? Does it, Stalin came, he did his thing. Where is he now? Lenin, I understand to go watch the body of Lenin or the body of Mao Zedong, you have to spend so many hours in line and pay money. And these individuals, they didn't do well by humanity. They killed a massive quantity of people in the millions, and yet they're still being honored. So don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of what you have to do. Don't be ashamed, and stop worrying about dying and going to heaven. Stop worrying about it. But 2023 is going to be a lot of turmoil. You understand, this war in Europe has only just begun. And there's no worse things than when Europeans go back to their traditional tribal wars. Because you see, they act like only Africans have tribal wars. But no, all these European countries have at some point or other in the annals of history have their own tribal wars. Spain versus Portugal, Portugal split its skin. Even King James, who wrote y'all's Bible, if you open the first page of the Bible, he said he was King James. Not only did he rule over England and the United Kingdom, he also was King of France. So that means he had conquered France. France was a colony of Great Britain. And today Britain itself is falling apart. Wales is left, Scotland is leaving, and Northern Ireland is going to start fighting again. South Africa has been freed, but the people have never got their land and never received their precious minerals. So of course there has to be turbulence, war, upheaval, revolution there again. So it ain't going to be no peace in 2023. And if you want something, if you're not prepared to go out and get it, it's not going to come to you. And you can do all the praying you want. You can open all the Bible verses. You can sing all the Bible songs. And no God from heaven is coming to your rescue. You have to rescue yourself. You have to be ready in that drought, in that bad weather, in that hurricane, in that tornado, to save yourself. This is my message to you for 2023. I trust that you receive it in true faith and in true blessing and in true understanding, because it is the fundamental truth of the history and of the annals of this human earth upon which we live. And as always, I like to say, a luta continua. The fight continues, the struggle continues until victory. And what is victory? You have to define your own victory. A luta continua e victoria.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.